Inspection and testing. Part 6 of BS 7671 outlines the requirements for the inspection and testing of electrical installations. This section is crucial for verifying that an installation has been correctly designed, installed, and is safe to use. 6.1 describe the restructuring of Part 6 and the migration of chapters into Chapter 64. Part 6 has been completely reshaped and restructured in the 18th edition. Chapters 61, 62, and 63 are no longer used. Instead, the content is now primarily within Chapter 64. Initial verification. Chapter 65. Periodic inspection and testing. 6.2 explain the process of initial verification, including the importance of inspection before testing. Initial verification is a critical process that must be carried out during the erection and on completion of every electrical installation, as well as any addition or alteration, before it is put into service. This process involves both inspection and testing to verify that the installation meets the requirements of the regulations. Purpose. The purpose of initial verification is to ensure, as far as reasonably practical, that the regulations have been met. This includes assessing the fundamental principles from Section 131 and the general characteristics from Sections 311 to 313, along with the information required by 514.9.1. Fundamental principles include protection against electric shock, thermal effects, overcurrents, fault currents, and voltage disturbances. Inspection. Inspection must precede testing. The inspection involves a thorough examination of the installation to ensure that the equipment has been correctly selected and erected. It identifies if the method of protection has been achieved. This includes verifying the correct selection and erection of equipment, wiring systems, and protective devices. Skilled persons. The inspection will be made by one or more skilled persons competent in such work. Documentation. Skilled persons need to be aware of diagrams for utilization points and methods of protection. Testing. Following the inspection, testing must be carried out to verify that the electrical installation meets the required safety standards. The tests are given in the book in the order they should be carried on initial verification. The results of the tests must be compared with the relevant criteria, including the design criteria. The very first test you should carry out is the continuity of protected conducted tests. Order of testing. The tests are given in sequence that they should be carried out. Continuity of protective conductors and, if applicable, ring final conductors. Insulation resistance. Polarity. Earth electrode resistance. Earth fault loop impedance and prospective fault current. Functional testing. Certification. On completion of the verification, a certificate must be prepared. It is expected that an electrical installation certificate, which includes a schedule of test results and schedule of inspections, is achieved for initial verification. Limitations. On new installations, there should be no limitations or not verified entries on the certificate. Any departures must be recorded on the certificate and must not result in a less safe installation. Periodic inspection and testing. Periodic inspection and testing is carried out to ensure the safety of persons and livestock, protection against damage to property, and identification of any installation defects. Model forms. Model certificates are available in Appendix 6. By following the procedures for initial verification, including thorough inspection and testing, electrical installations can be certified as safe for use. 6.3 discuss periodic inspection and testing and the use of certificates. Periodic inspection and testing is a process carried out on existing electrical installations to determine whether they are safe to continue in use. Unlike initial verification, which occurs during and after the installation process, periodic inspection and testing is conducted at intervals to identify any deterioration, damage, or non-compliance with current regulations that may compromise safety. Objectives. Ensuring the safety of persons and livestock against electric shock and burns. Protecting against damage to property from fire and heat. Confirming the correct rating and setting of protective devices. Verifying that the installation is not damaged or deteriorated to the point of impairing safety. Identifying any installation defects and non-compliance with BS 7671 that could lead to danger. Frequency. The frequency of periodic inspection and testing should be determined by considering factors such as the type of installation, its use in operation, the frequency and quality of maintenance, external influences, and the results of previous inspections. Rather than relying on a specific time frame from another book, it's important to assess the installation based on these factors. Reporting and certification. Upon completion of the inspection and testing, an electrical installation condition report, EICR, must be issued, based on the model form provided in Appendix 6 of BS 7671. The EICR details the condition of the electrical installation, any observed defects, and a classification code, C1, C2, C3, or FI, indicating the severity of each defect. The report shall be issued to the person ordering the inspection and testing. Appendix 6 provides the model certificates. Classification codes. Code C1, danger present, indicates that immediate remedial action is required to remove the danger. Code C2, potentially dangerous, signifies that urgent remedial action is required. Code C3, improvement recommended, suggests that improvements should be made to enhance safety. Code FI, further investigation required, indicates that further investigation is needed to determine the nature and extent of a potential issue. Limitations. On the certificate, there should not be crosses or not verified entries. 6.4 cover the sequence of tests and the relevant criteria for each test. The sequence of tests during periodic inspection and testing generally follows the same order as that for initial verification. Continuity of protective conductors ensures that all protective conductors are properly connected and provide a low impedance path to earth. Continuity of ring final circuit conductors, if applicable, verifies the integrity of the ring circuit. Insulation resistance measures the resistance between live conductors and between live conductors and earth to ensure that insulation is intact. The installation resistance should be measured between live conductors and between live conductors and a protective conductor connecting it to the earthing arrangement where appropriate. A test voltage is applied, as indicated in Table 64 of BS 7671, and the measured insulation resistance must meet or exceed the minimum acceptable value. For up to 500 V, the value should be 1 megohm. Polarity verifies that all polarities are correct throughout the installation. Fuses and single-pole devices should be in the line conductor only. The center contact of Edison screw lamp holders should be line, and the thread should be neutral. Earth electrode resistance measures the resistance of the earth electrode to ensure it provides a low impedance path to earth. Earth fault loop impedance and prospective fault current measures the impedance of the earth fault loop path to ensure that, in the event of a fault, sufficient current will flow to cause the protective device to operate within the required disconnection time. Prospective fault current is the maximum current that would flow under fault conditions and is used to verify the adequacy of protective devices. Functional testing. This involves operating various devices and equipment within the installation to ensure they function correctly and safely. When an AFDD is installed, the effectiveness of any manually operated test facility shall be verified in the course with the manufacturer's recommendations. By adhering to these testing procedures and criteria, the safety and compliance of electrical installations can be effectively monitored and maintained through periodic inspection and testing.